So boundaries truly are structure to the way you want your life to unfold. So we're creating more structure in our life. What do we actually want? This is the key to manifestation. If we don't know what we want to manifest into our life, then how is it gonna, it's like using a GPS without an address. Like you can't use the GPS to get somewhere unless you put the address in first. So we're creating boundaries and structures in our life of how we truly want to be treated and how we truly want to treat ourselves. So some of the questions that I love asking myself, I usually write this out in my journal and I put the left questions in one column and the right questions in the other. What do I like? What makes me happy? What do I value? What do I appreciate? Writing all those things down in one column. And then the opposite, the other side. What don't I like? What doesn't make me happy? What don't I value? What don't I appreciate? Sometimes using this idea of contrast here will help you understand. Sometimes you have to go with what you don't like in order to realize what you do like, right? So we got to go to both ends of the spectrum here to really understand who we are, our truth, and then once we do that, we can then speak it and communicate it really effectively. So just like a game here, like this is Rummy, you know the card game Rummy? Rummy has rules, right? You can't sit down to play Rummy unless you know the rules. It's the rules to play the game. Boundaries are the rules to live your life, all right? The next level of life calls for the next level of you. You can't level up unless you're willing to level up all these aspects, okay? To level up, you've got to create the new rules to live by. So you're writing the manual here, the rules to live your life, how you want to treat yourself, how you want others to treat you, how you want your clients to treat you, how you want your kids to treat you. These are the rules here. Boundaries are essentially what makes you different from someone else. It's what differentiates ourselves. Strong boundaries don't make you a jerk. They don't make you an asshole. They don't make you selfish or bossy. That is such a misconception. That having strong boundaries makes you a bitch or bossy or whatever. Strong boundaries make you admirable and respected. It's that boss babe shit. When you know how you like to be treated and you settle for nothing less than that, that is some boss babe shit right there. Okay, that's why we're gonna really set these strong boundaries and then learn how to effectively communicate them. So here's a few type of boundaries. I'm gonna run through these. This is not all the boundaries, this is just examples. I'm gonna run through and then explain them. So we've got highest self boundaries, family boundaries, relationship, business, parenting, friendship, employer, money, social media, possibility, vision boundaries. Run through them a little bit. Highest self boundaries. As we're moving through this healing and this transformative stuff where we're clearing more of the past, we're releasing that, letting that go. Now it's time to start asking ourselves, who is this highest version of myself? Now that I'm clearing the past, who am I stepping into? Who is the person that I truly want to be? So these highest self boundaries are boundaries that you create with yourself. Thinking about this highest version of yourself, you know, this highest version of me, her name is Sunny. That's one of your assignments this week. I want you to name your highest self, a name that just feels so good. We're naming her because she's real. We're stepping into her. You want to know her. You want to get to know her every morning. Good morning, Sunny. Every night, good night, Sunny. I love you, Sunny. Thank you, Sunny. I'm sorry, Sunny. Okay, get to know her. So who is your highest self? And what are the boundaries that need to be in place in order for you to show up as her, right? Sunny does not take no shit. So I gotta have boundaries to make sure that Sunny doesn't have to take no shit, right? We've got family boundaries. We all know how important this one is. So having family boundaries is pretty damn challenging sometimes, especially if you've lived your whole life without any boundaries. Now setting those boundaries, it's gonna take some strong communication, but that's okay. You got it, and we're gonna go through this together. Relationship boundaries, pretty apparent, right? We gotta have boundaries in our relationship. Business boundaries, what is a business with no boundaries? Not a business, that's for sure. Not a successful business, that's for sure. Parenting boundaries, We can't just let the kids run wild, right? We got to be the parent. We got to be in charge. We got to have those strong boundaries, and we have to effectively communicate them to the kids so that they understand. Friendship boundaries, right? What's acceptable, what's not. Employer boundaries, you got to have the strong boundaries of what you allow your employer, how you allow your employer to treat you. Money boundaries, this one starts getting a little bit more personal, right? I had to set some money boundaries for myself because I didn't have any, and because of that, no money ever stayed in my bank account. Had to set some boundaries for myself. Social media boundaries, how much time you spend on social media, what you do on social media. If you start building a business with social media, you want to have some boundaries and some structure around how you actually do that. So we'll be getting much more into social media boundaries as we move into the second phase of the mastermind. Possibility boundaries. What do you allow to be possible? Because you might have some funky rules there. If it's not possible in your mind for you to be successful, that's a silly rule that needs to be rewritten because it's not true. If you have this silly little rule that other people can be successful entrepreneurs, but you can't, you have to have a job. That's a silly little rule that's just not in alignment anymore. It needs to be crossed out and rewritten. So where are your boundaries around what's possible for you? What you're worthy of, what you're capable of? We gotta make sure these are in alignment with what we envision for our highest self.